Good morning, this is the Eager Beaver Show.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community and forum, and the Pepper Master, hot pepper sauces made from fresh farm ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. Well, good morning and hello, kids, and welcome to Season 3 and episode number 210 of the Daily Beaver Morning Show here on the Crier Media Network. Yeah, I'm feeling a little musical today, kids. Kids, kits, and cubs. Lovely. I am your host, the Eager Beaver, pronouns he, him, hey, Mr. Beaver, A. And I think I bid my intro out of order. Today, recording day is Monday, September 18th, 2023. And I'm not sure what kind of day it's going to be here at Beaver Lodge because I didn't check, but the skies look kind of nice now for this day, this hour of the day. Maybe a little cloud and sun, from what I can tell from looking at the sky. Let's see what else. Thank you to our podcast's founding sponsors, the Pepper Master, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, and CanadianTarot.com. With me, as always, is my dear friend, Mr. Grizzly. The introduction is all in the wrong order today. So before we do anything else today, because I think we have a Monday morning bite for you, let's say good morning to Mr. Grizzly and ask how his mental health is doing today. And I like that shirt.
Oh, thank you.
Good color
Thank you very
combo.
much. Temu. I think it was like $12 or something. It's like it goes with the pants that I bought that are called pants. No, I'm serious. The tag inside says pants, as if I didn't know what they were. Yeah, that's the brand, pants.
Clever. Call them what they are.
Blatantly obvious to I think most of humanity that pants are indeed pants.
Introducing cup.
Yeah, exactly.
Very practical.
So I woke up a little groggy, and then noises coming from somewhere here. Was that your phone or my phone?
That was yours.
Oh, that was my phone. Sorry. I got all this stuff going on here in the
Mine's on
background.
Do Not Disturb because I'm already disturbed enough already.
Well, mine should have been on Do Not Disturb, but it wasn't anyway. So, yeah, mental health-wise, I think I'm doing good. I woke up feeling groggy as usual because I'm slow to wake up. That's why I wake up at 5 a.m. every day, so that by the time I'm ready to start this, I'm somewhat human. And I was feeling great. I was feeling wonderful. Got home, because I stayed at Bridget's last night. Got
Mhm.
home, had a cup of coffee, sat down, and started getting this all prepped and ready to go. And I was reading some stuff online, and then just like seconds before we went live, stabbing pain behind this
Oh,
eye.
no.
Yeah,
You
I
can't
just
read the news before we start. That's my job. You can't do that.
well, I
That's
was
for the health of the show.
it's a newsletter I get every morning, The Peak, and then there's the Lookout, The Peak, and Bloomberg 5 things you should know to start
Right.
your day.
Right.
I get all 3 of them. I even have a New York Times subscription I get through my employer, but that's on my work computer, and I don't boot that up until I have to start working. So
Yeah.
anyway, yeah. So stabbing pain behind my left eye came right out of nowhere. So it's like I'm actually going to turn off a light.
Yes, please do.
It's a little bit easier now because I've got lights from the sides here.
Mhm.
If I turn off this one, you'll see that, right?
Oh, yeah.
If I turn
A
off
little
this
mysterious
one,
shadow there.
right?
Ooh.
And if I turn them both off, no, that doesn't work.
Wait, that looks like you're in the bottom of the basement hacking something.
Yes, exactly.
All right. Good morning to you, Kit Mystical, Kit Linda M, Kit Grappling, Kit Kendra. It's been a while since we've seen you. Welcome back. Kit Tim, Kit Elaine, Kit Miss Sadeka, Kit Mademoiselle Fox. Good morning to you, you lovely lady. Kit Donna. I think we've got everybody that's here so far this morning. And Kit Elaine. I think I've said hello, but Elaine does good work reminding everybody to smash. So we'll say hello twice. Oh, Kid Jen pops in just to get her hello. Good morning, darling. Lovely to see you.
How you doing?
Yeah, how you doing, huh?
It's my best Joey. How you doing?
I am groggy as well
Mm,
because I had a wonderful weekend, which I will not talk about too much today because we have pub chat coming on Saturday. So
Save it
I'll
for the
I'll
weekend.
save it for the weekend. But we did go to Stratford,
Mm,
and I love theater.
mm-hmm.
So Stratford's always a joy because in Canada, I mean, where's the place you go if you want to see the absolute best theater?
Yeah, Stratford. Yeah,
Oh, right.
for Shakespeare anyway. Yeah, because I think also the Shaw Festival in Niagara on the Lake is pretty darn good myself.
Right. Stratford and Shop. Those are the two you go to.
Those are the 2,
Yeah.
really. I mean, they really, really are.
Yeah.
Not taken away from any other part of the country or any other theater scene in the country, but those are kind of like that. If you were a theater actor in this country, those are the ones you aspire to attend.
Or perform in.
Or perform. Sorry, perform is what I actually meant. To
Yeah.
perform. Those are the ones you want to perform in. And I've talked to actors who've performed and said, "Oh, there's no money. You don't make anything at it." But that's
Yeah.
not why you do it. You do
No.
it for having that in your resume because it is. Oh, you've performed at Stratford. You've performed at the Shaw Festival. Well, okay,
Yes.
it's kind of different, right? It's like
Well,
we take you seriously.
Stratford is such like when you're reading the bios,
Mhm,
right? It says the person's name. It says whatever shows they're in because most people are in more than one show
mhm.
at Stratford, and then it says how many seasons they've been at Stratford. And I believe, if I remember correctly, because I thought of sending my name in for an audition at one point, and then I didn't. Um, but if you get in, I
Mhm.
think you're not allowed to be in the next 2 seasons
Oh, really?
to allow enough time. Yeah, so there are
Oh,
people
it gives
at
room for
Stratford.
others, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but there are people at Stratford who have been there, who are there, and they're like 9th season at Stratford, 15th
Wow.
season at Stratford. So, I
Wow.
mean, how many years have they been acting?
30.
Yeah. We went to see King Lear
Mhm.
featuring Paul Gross.
Oh, Silver
Yeah.
Fox himself.
Yes. And yesterday it was Rent.
Oh, 525,600
Yes.
minutes.
Yes. So I have songs in my heart and in my soul today. I'm feeling very musical.
That's a Mario Lanza song, actually.
Mhm.
Song in My Heart,
Song in
Mario
my
Lanza.
Yeah.
I have it on vinyl. I
Okay.
literally do.
See, I have a Martha and the Muffins song in my head now, which is called Song in My Head. I've got a song in my head going round and round, 'cause there's something in my heart that I've never found.
Never was a Martha and the Muffins fan. I promoted them
Except for
because they
Echo
were
Beach.
Canadian, but yeah, no.
Except
Echo
for Echo
Beach, I
Beach.
liked
That
that.
was
That was
really
the only
good.
song I liked. Yeah, I was just never a fan. Same with the Parachute Club. Rise
Yep.
Up, I liked, but most of the others,
Oh,
I just Wasn't
I
my jam.
I liked, the Parachute Club, the song that they did that was sort of out of character for them, that was really, really good. It did make it on the radio, but didn't get I thought it was criminal that it didn't get the play that it should have, was Innuendo. It was a
I don't
slower, darker song,
I
and,
don't know
it
that.
wasn't
No.
Lorraine Segato that was, singing it, there was another lady, Lori something, like, she was I think
Okay.
she was the lead on that one, but, ooh, that if you ever have a chance, listen to it. It's darker.
Mm.
Innuendo. I really it has a nice little guitar. Dun, 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 dun,
Sounds
dun,
like a video
dun,
game.
dun. Yeah.
Mario.
But it's well, I mean, late 80s, early 90s, right? So,
Mhm.
but,
I haven't seen Lorraine Segato on the scene in a long time. I think she's background writing and producing. I
mhm.
could be wrong.
Yeah,
But she was very prominent for a number of years there and,
yeah. And she did a little
uh,
bit of solo work when the group, she had an album
split.
called Phoenix,
Well,
but
she
after
also
that
worked with John Oates for a long time too.
oh, she did? I did not know
Yeah,
that.
he was a big fan of hers, and the Parachute Club, and he worked with them for a number of years.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
Little Canadian music history for you there. Yeah, but like I said, they were I wasn't diminishing their efforts as musicians. It just wasn't for me. It just but I promoted them because they're Canadian artists, and I wanted to see Canadian artists
Yeah.
succeed
Well, it was
because,
80 around 83, 84 too, right? So it was the new wave
mm,
thing. So, I mean, new wave, you were either into it or not.
yeah, and I really wasn't my thing. I
Yeah,
was listening to Ozzy and Sabbath and
yeah,
Priest and Maiden.
complete opposite. So,
Yeah.
well, that was like me at home, right? When I
Mm.
was like I had like 4 foster brothers, and they're all listening to Ozzy and Scorpions and Van Halen and Iron Maiden and whatnot like this, and I'm listening to Bananarama and Erasure, Pet Shop Boys, and right, and they're all laughing at me.
Your
And I guess
sexuality was not in question whatsoever.
it's like, I do not know how I was the last to know.
Everybody
And
else was like,
it's
"Oh, yeah, no, we know. We know."
since I was 10.
Yeah.
I had one foster brother who used to call me Happy. "Hey,
Mm.
Happy." We know what happy means. Ex I still do not know how I was the last to figure it
It's
out.
often it's surprising. I'm told it's surprising how often that is the actual case, and I think it's because societally speaking, now it's different today, right?
Yes.
But back then, societally speaking, you needed to find a good woman and make a family and have kids and get married and have a good wife. That's just not the thing today. And I mean, I know a lot of young people who have no desire to A, get married or B, have children. And of course, that makes the powers that be in political spectrums really worried, which is why they increase the number of immigrants each year. And then you have racist pieces of shit who say too many immigrants are. I'm like, yeah, you realize without immigration, this country would come to a screeching halt in a matter of weeks.
Hmm. I'm laughing because, I have a weird mind, right? You just said
Mm.
racist pieces, and I was like, "You racist pieces." Just make a little trail from them, and hopefully some ET will come and take them home. Racist phone home. Racist phone home. Where's that damn
Yeah.
speak and spell when you need one?
Okay, we've gone completely off the rails, but that's okay.
Well, apparently the loudmouths are going to have, I think this is the 100th announcement of the follow-up to the convoy on now
Oh
this
yeah.
it's now September 20th.
Well, I
Or
gotta.
is it what, like a million van march or something?
I don't know what the. I got one last night that was
I'm
sent to me
sorry.
that
I
I'll.
shouldn't be laughing.
Where did it go? There was one somebody sent me something last night, and hang on. No, I know where it is. I'll find it. Give me a second here. I got
Oh,
something I wanted to put on the screen
alright.
that
Um,
I had to respond to because I was like, "What? This is ridiculous. I can't believe this crap." Let's see if I can find it here. Where is it?
okay. Well, for those while you're waiting for that, over the course of the weekend, because recently we talked about our track and field athletes who did so well at the
Mhm.
World Championships. In fact, most people probably don't know this, but the 4 gold medals that Canada won we were the second country with gold medals. The United States had the most, and then it was us. Now we
Oh
weren't the
wow.
second country with the most medals, we're wrong, but in terms of gold, we were. So our team did really well, punched over its weight. And this weekend there was called the Diamond League, which is the league they compete to. They go to
Mhm.
different cities and compete their advance and accumulate points. Well, it was the final, and I believe in the Diamond League they pick the top 8 point getters all season long in the various competitions. So we had 4 Canadians that had qualified. I don't know if all 4 went, but Sarah Mitten, who was um, the shot put athlete who won
Mhm.
silver at the Worlds, Andre DeGrasse, was there. Marco Arup, who believe had won bronze in the 800 meters and set a record at the time. So they were there. I believe probably that my guess would be that Pierce, I can't remember his last name now, who just won decathlon gold, might have been the 4th, but I
Mm.
don't. I can't.
Yeah, they did well. They did well. The whole
Yeah,
team,
they
like,
did very
well
well.
done.
Well, Andre DeGrasse, we know that he's been having it's more like a coming back year from I'm
Mhm.
thinking was maybe some injuries or whatnot.
Yes,
And
yeah, yeah.
the best he did was that 6th place in the 200 meter at the World Championships, but he didn't qualify for the 100-meter final. Right?
Well, it's
Um,
possible it's near the end of his career. I mean, it is a short career,
it
really,
is a short
as a
career.
as a as a sprinter.
Well, DeGrasse won the Diamond League trophy for the first time in his career
Oh, wow.
with a season's best of 19.76 in the 200 meters.
Well, good
So the
on you, brother.
yeah,
Well done.
so he 6th place in the world a couple of weeks ago to winning. He's on the way back. He's on the way back. I like that. And let's see, who else did we have here? Marco Arup became the first Canadian man to break 1 minute 43 seconds in the 800 meters, setting a new record. He took home the silver
Mhm.
at the
Yeah, and
event.
it's a Canadian record, and I think it was it was a Canadian record, he said, yeah.
Yeah, 142.85. And that's lowers his personal best time. And the national mark was 143.20 at the time, so he cut off 35 hundredths of a second.
Mm.
Not bad. Sarah Mitten snagged the silver at the Diamond League final. Uh, in her 17 events across the season, she finished in the top 2 14 times.
Mm.
So she is Mrs. Consistency. And she threw a 19.94 meters throw, so almost 20 meters. The leader, Chase Ely, threw a 20.61, which is a new American record. So, it's she just phoned it in.
Yeah, that's all. Just, you know.
Oh man. So yeah, good stuff from our athletes. I'm really happy for them. But yeah, I'm guessing the third person who qualified probably either did not compete or did not finish because they're not even mentioned in the article. And when it comes to the Davis Cup, because I've been talking about it a lot, it was a full sweep for Team Canada. They defeated Chile 2-1. So on their 9 matches, they won 7 of them, which is pretty amazing because they had no single players in the top 100 at all. So they finished first on top of their pool, and they are moving to the World Finals, where they get to a chance to defend their title, which will be happening in November, if I believe. So hopefully that will give some time for Felix to find his game and Denis Shapovalov to get for his knee to get a little better, and they can be full strength. Who knows? Maybe Milos Raonic will show up too.
Yeah, it's a possibility.
You never know. And the women are getting ready for Billie Jean King Cup coming up soon. Our women's team had qualified for the next round last time they played by also punching way above their weight in the regional playoff. So I can't wait to see what happens there. Do you have the thing you were looking for, Mr. Grizzly?
Yes, I do. And let me just put it right on the screen here right now because it's Jesus Christ Almighty.
Oh, not that one. Yeah, I saw that last night before going to bed.
I'm like, really?
Oh,
I'll read it out for the kits and cubs. Just let me get it off the screen here, and I'll bring it up on a separate page so I can see it. It's this individual who decided that this individual by the name of at Kim. No, it's Kim Kennedy, KYM Kennedy. I don't know what I can't see their Twitter handle, so I don't know what it is. But Kim Kennedy is the person's name, who has decided that Tamara Leach is deserving of the Order of Canada,
Lord.
which makes me want to barf. Because come on, it's like Order of Canada because she stood up to what? Public health? That's not standing up. That's just
She threw a temper tantrum
yeah.
and then invited thousands of her friends to join. And then somehow,
Just
either wittingly or unwittingly, got caught up in a movement to try to choke us all off of food and groceries and medical supplies and try to bring us to our knees by making sure that no imports could get in so none of us could do our jobs, and then trying to overthrow the government. But yeah, let's get to
yeah.
the Order of
Yeah,
Canada.
yeah.
Just a regular
So
hero.
this thing open so I can read it.
A lot of,
Yeah, really.
and a lot of people are commenting that maybe it kind of looks like maybe she dipped into some of those funds to get a little bit of work done.
Yeah, because well, I'm not going to get into it. Whether she did or she didn't, I don't care. I don't. Look, if you were stupid enough to give her money, a fool and their money are soon parted, right? So this is individual Kim Kennedy, KYM Kennedy. I don't know what their Twitter handle is because it's cut off in the image, but she says support Tamara Leach. Is it Lich or Leach?
Leach.
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 Support Tamara Leach. Fitting. I don't know anyone who wasn't deeply impacted by the COVID mandates and restrictions. Not
Neither
one
do we.
person. Well, neither do we. Let's state something that's blatantly obvious. Every
Right.
single Canadian felt it in some way. Yes.
Yes.
So why did you take my city hostage for 3 weeks to complain about the thing that we were all going through?
Yes. You guys couldn't handle it. You're weak.
Clearly. For many, the effect it had was long-term and life-changing. We lost hope. We lost jobs and friends and family. We lost pride for our country as they separated us from parents dying alone in long-term care facilities. Yeah, that's a provincial matter, and the provincial premiers need to be held responsible for that. And I think they should be charged for that.
Yes, but the keeping us isolated during a pandemic where a virus may potentially be airborne and it's a respiratory virus,
It's like,
that
come
is
on.
not killing people. That is trying to keep people alive.
But
The
they don't
fact
see it
that
that
you
way.
don't have enough gray matter to be able to rub two brain cells together and get a spark in that direction sounds like a you problem.
Well, for the very first time in their lives, they had to surrender some of their privileges, and they just couldn't deal with it.
Right.
She says, we lost pride for our country as they separated us from parents dying alone in long-term care facilities and sacrificed our children's success and mental health to irrational fears. There's nothing irrational about it.
People like breathing.
Millions of people
irrational.
died from it. For some of us, when the Freedom Convoy 2022 started to roll, it was the first spark of humanity, hope, and unity we had seen in a couple of years, and those who made it happen again became our heroes.
You
Seeing
need to
Tamara
pick better
Leach live
heroes.
streaming and constantly encouraging peace and unity among our people, bullshit, as she made her way across Canada, made a difference to so many. If you're among that group of people, you're willing to share your story about how Tamara gave you hope for your future,
It's
pride
like,
for your country, or relief from the depression and desperation that plagues so many of us.
okay, well, spreading peace and unity throughout our community. Number one, define our. And number two, did you watch the Public Order Emergency Commission? They all hated each other.
Yeah.
They didn't have peace and unity among each other.
No.
As the organizing team. They didn't bring you peace. But like, how empty is your life?
Well,
If
she
this
says,
is what you latched onto, and to still like a year later, year and a half later, after everything that we know, you're still like, it was peace and unity, and she's a hero, and we must like, come on, man. Come on.
well, I'm not going to read the rest of this, but I'm just going to go with her very last line because this is just so much bullshit and I can't handle it. Thanks for being a freedom-loving Canadian. Do you know a Canadian that doesn't love freedom?
I know.
Aren't we all?
We talk about a few of them.
Yes, actually, we do. Pierre Poilievre, number one freedom-hating Canadian, when he talks about it all the time, but he wants to rob it from you, like he did at the convention when he wouldn't let independent media talk to any of the delegates.
Yep.
Threaten them.
Yep.
Wouldn't let media people talk. What about freedom of the press? Isn't that one of our biggest freedoms? The ability to report on the news and tell the stories that we need to hear so we can make an informed decision about how and where and who we're going to vote for. But no. He wants to rob you of that because he hates freedom and he hates this country and he hates most of the people in it, save for the extreme religious zealots and the wealthy who keep him in power.
Right.
Some days, I just don't know what to say to people. And I want to yell. I want to scream. I don't do that, but some days that's how I feel.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I hear you. Meanwhile, you have some people taking offense on a whole bunch of stuff. We have, well, not only offense, but a weird type of ownership. I'm starting to see tweets now because, that million van march organized allegedly this time by the Muslim community to save our LGBTQ children or something weird like that. A lot of people are like sitting there going like, I'm so proud of our Muslim community, all these white people. And it's like,
didn't you hate their guts like recently? Like super recently?
Number one, yeah. It's like, but it's like, what's this our thing?
Yeah. You own them?
It's like the indigenous people, right? They say, oh, our indigenous people. And so it's like, they're not yours. You didn't like order them off Amazon and have them delivered. Again, and weren't these the people who just like about like 8 years ago, you were just itching to pick up your cell phones to dial that snitch line on?
Exactly. What is it with conservatives and snitch lines, by the way? Because you saw that Skippy wants one for NIMBYism.
Yep, absolutely.
What is it? What is their fascination with snitching on each other? They hate us so much. They hate this country so much. And again, these are not conservatives. These are reformers. These are not conservatives. They're CINOs, conservative in name only. Yep. They're fascinated with telling on each other.
Oh yeah, but then but their narrative, of course, is that the prime minister doesn't trust Canadians and hates Canadians, and so what are you like? You literally speak horribly of 2/3 of us on a daily basis. And every time you talk about the country, you keep on saying how it's shit.
Yeah.
And every time we try something, you poo-poo out of it, all over it. So it's like the grocery things or whatever that's being printed. Like, yes, I don't have much hope that removing the GST off housing and whatever they're going to do with the groceries is going to do a lot of stuff too. I'm pretty sure a lot of this is performative. But it's like, but if you're out there and you're saying like this, we need to do this, you have no other solutions. And then every time somebody presents a solution, you poo-poo all over it the second it's uttered. Then you don't really want to solve the problem.
No.
Because if you have a problem that's rather intractable, and you can't really figure out how to solve it, at one point you just start trying stuff. Right? Your choice is, well, try something and see what happens. We can adjust, or you just stand there and let it happen to you. So since nobody has any solutions, real ones, at least somebody is trying something.
Well,
I'm just...
Yeah, no, I hear you.
You can't say you want a problem solved, and then every time somebody proposes a solution, that'll never work. That fantastic conservative can't do attitude. That'll never work. That's no good. That'll never happen. Why do that? Why are we wasting our time? Oh, just another scheme. It's everything's being talked down. If you don't, it's like I'm just at the stop coming to me with problems.
Mm.
If you ain't got a solution to propose to the problem, don't talk to me about the problem. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. It's like you guys have been whining for 8 years and not proposing anything. Because if your
All they do is
complaint
complain.
does not come with a solution that we can discuss, I don't want
Stop
to hear it.
complaining. Yeah. Yeah.
You've had
Like,
a
really.
lot of time. You've had a
And
lot
they
of
have
time.
and no
Pierre's
solutions to anything.
Pierre's been in government for 20 years. If he really wanted to be prime minister, he would have had some solutions and plans and whatnot in his back pocket. He would be spending nights writing them down, whatnot, and he would be ready.
Well,
Mr.
I mean,
Singh's going into his third election. Him. When we said it on the show, you saying Justin Trudeau won't do it. I will. I don't want to hear I will. I want to hear
wanna hear
how I will.
how.
And if
How?
you ain't got
Tell
that,
me how.
I don't want to hear it.
Oh,
Hold on a
Skippy's
second.
been in there 20 years now. 20
Oh.
years. Oh, 20 years he's been in politics, and he's got no solutions for anything, but he always tells you how he's going to make things better. So I don't know if you read the little script I wrote at the beginning of the show here about how Skippy wants to make he's always railing on about the groceries and the cost of food and how much grocery stores are raking us over the coals for profit. And so one suggestion put forth is, okay, we'll just create a new national grocery chain. The Canadian government will do it. He'd lose his shit over that.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. And now they're all
He'd lose it.
talking about. Well, their main complaint is right because Prime Minister said there probably will be some financial penalties to the grocers who don't comply. So now they're sitting there,
Yeah.
oh, so what's he going to do? The Prime Minister is going to tax the grocers, and then the grocers is going to pass the taxes on to us, and is going to create a new tax on us. Well, that's the case for anyone.
Mhm.
Any fine imposed on a corporation technically can be passed back down to us in terms of higher bills. You literally have no other solutions. Now they're calling these price controls, of course. Governments impose price controls. Whether like calling them in and saying, "Hey, like, can you guys get together and do something?" And it's just, I don't know, man. It's
I hear
just,
you.
it's just always negative. And then from Alberta, you got the actual premier of Alberta, Mr. David Parker from Take Back Alberta to the 1800s. And he posted this tweet: "Dear public educators, you work for us, earning our tax dollars. And if you keep up this indoctrination bullshit, we will fire you. Signed, the people of Alberta." Okay, one, who died and made this fuckwad the voice of the people of Alberta?
Well, he thinks he is.
He didn't run for anything.
No.
I mean, I know he's the puppet master, but he didn't run for anything. And then some person got so offended by my tweet that, you know what, the criticism and the criticism I got, that just killed me. I mean, it just sent me into the corner in the fetal position, rocking myself, I guess, and soothing myself with cheesecake.
Wow.
Potty mouth. Because I said fuckwad.
Mm.
The guy
Wow.
that went on said potty mouth. So checked out their feed, and it's William P. Hard worker, loved life. Past tense. Kind heart, love animals and most people. Pure blood, comma, really? We have to fix things. That's a big WE. No DM, I'm in a relationship. And the very first tweet, is a retweet from somebody that's called Concerned Canadian, who's never concerned. Who stands with Tamara? She stood up to an authoritarian regime to regain our lost rights and freedoms at her peril. 2 exclamation marks, and then a photo of her that says, "I stand with Tamara Leach." And I'm like, okay, you want to call me a potty mouth? All right, domestic terrorist sympathizer. Well, I guess you won that round of Who's the Suckier Human. Pro tip: if you want folks to seriously believe you've got a problem with potty mouth muffin, perhaps not have glorification of the fuck Trudeau lady as the first post on your feed.
That would be a good idea, I think. You know.
I'm just saying. But you know what? Points for originality because it's been a long time since I've had a "get off my lawn, you little bastards" type call me admonish me for a potty mouth.
You know,
Hey,
these
as,
things happen.
as the song goes, a little potty never hurt nobody.
I don't know that song, but sure, I'll go along
Oh,
with
it's
it.
from the. Oh, you didn't know it's from the Gary Gatsby soundtrack. It was Will I Am and Fergie, I think. A little
Oh,
potty never hurt nobody. Oh, it's really good.
I'm
It's
not aware
it's a
of
bit
it.
of a banger. It has some Charleston era samples in it too. It's pretty good. All right, it wasn't a big hit, unfortunately. It should have been a bigger hit though. It was a grooving song.
You never know what's going to hit.
Yeah. So yes, caravans, Tamara. Um, of course, the trial is going on, and because the prosecution never comes up to the mic after every day of the trial and starts talking about how the trial went, all the space is being filled up by them people, and wow, it's like there's absolutely no case against them, and they're winning this, and every day they're in court, it's like, gee, I can't believe how bad the prosecution lawyers are. They're just so absolutely terrible, and they're most absolutely, definitely, assuredly going to lose this case. And
Hmm.
Tamara and Chris will be vindicated, I tell you. Hold on. I just need to have a sip here.
Well,
Mm.
I was reading some of Evia Chipyuk's tweets on the weekend, and I'm
Oh my
like,
God.
"Oh,
You know
she's got
what?
to be the dumbest lawyer in Canada."
I used to like criticize her and like this, and now I just read them for comedic content
Yeah, I have
because,
no criticism of her. She's really not smart.
but you see,
Like,
like,
really not smart.
remember when I told you that story about that law class I took, and like, it's like my first instinct was always wrong.
Hmm.
It's like, but he's the one that got screwed. Yes, but the law is such that he can be
Yeah,
screwed this way. If you want to
that's how
screw
it
this way,
works.
someone, this is the legal way to do it. It's like, oh, really? That sounds kind of douchey way to use the law.
No,
so,
she's really not
so I
smart.
dropped out after like 4 weeks because I figured this is probably not going to be the career for me. She would have been my perfect classmate because I
Mm.
was always wrong on the law, but on the left, and she's as wrong on the law as I was back then, but on the right. I mean, she creates these rights that just do not exist.
She's not smart. She's
No,
not.
well, it's like PP the
I,
other
I
day
I
when
feel pity for her.
well,
It's
that's
like,
the
my
whole
God.
thing.
The worst part is she's doing this for all the world to see. It's like you're exposing how unintelligent you are and how bad of a lawyer you are for the whole world.
Yeah,
What?
and people are
Now,
cheering her and calling her brilliant and
and those are the ones who would support her, except none of them have the money to actually pay her.
hire her.
Right?
I'm just,
Irony?
oh,
The
she's
crowd she can win over is not the crowd that can afford her services.
she's bad, man.
Yeah.
She's again, there's some people like Leslie Lewis, same thing. She's got a doctorate of laws. How did she ever get one?
Well,
Because
here's the
she's
thing.
just so completely so far
She
off
might be just good at taking
everything.
tests. Some people are,
Yes,
right?
but then what? So I'm going to take the test, and now I'm going to instantly forget everything, and then just redraw the law
Well,
in my own image.
I had a buddy of mine who said, "Paul, I don't know what I'm doing." He says, "I was just good at taking tests." He goes, "I don't remember anything I studied. Nothing." I'm like, "What?" He goes, "I don't know what I'm doing." He goes, "I don't remember anything I studied. I was just good at preparing to take a test. So I know how to pass a test, but I
Mm.
couldn't tell you how I do what I do." I'm like, "Well, that's interesting. I didn't know that was a thing." Apparently, it's quite common.
Jeez.
Things you learn when you talk to people and they tell you stuff. I'm not mentioning who those people are, of course, but I think that might be the case with her.
Yeah.
Could be.
Um.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah. So those little things are going on quietly in the background. I guess we wait till September 20th to see.
Maybe.
But I mean, the last ones that have been announced that we've seen, I mean, I've seen a lot of announcements for million somethings, and then I'm seeing pictures on the web, and it's like it's an empty field with 15 cars and 2 trailers.
Yeah. We're starting it right now.
Mm.
We're starting.
Now we're
doing
starting it.
now. Yeah, now we're starting.
Next week.
Well,
What time is
there's
it
gonna be a million of us. 1 million of
now?
us.
Now. Well, yeah,
And where
I know there are only
where's
12
this
of us
million?
this week. Yes.
Where's
1
this
million.
million going to march to, though? That's what where are they marching to?
Well, here's the thing, right? The March on Washington in 1963, which was intended to be a Million Man March, which was one of the largest marches in U.S. history, maybe the largest, brought in about 250,000 people.
Yeah.
So if you can't bring a million in a country that had over 300 million back then, or maybe at least 200 million,
about 190 at the time.
at the time,
Yeah.
but
Less than 200 million.
You could get 250,000 in a country of 40.
They're
when
not
you're
gonna,
fringe,
they're not going to get 50,000.
Right.
I don't think they'll get 5,000, to be honest with you.
It's just like, but that's the thing, right? Here's like, if you're a strategist, right? I'd be going like this: I'm aiming to get 10,000 people. With 1 million in a country of 40, you're automatically dooming yourself to fail.
Oh yeah.
Automatically. So anyway, it's not to me to give them advice on how they can do their game better.
No, you don't want to do that.
But at some point, how would I put? There's a progression with these things, right? You first oppose them because you can't believe that people are actually saying this stuff, and then you do them because they have some follow through, and you get incensed, and then you do it because it's just so stupid. And then at one point, it's just, you start doing it for sport. And then at one point, the sport of it isn't even interesting because nothing on their end ever changes.
Ever. Yeah.
It's the same. You could argue with someone 5 years later, come back, and you'll be back at the beginning of the circle, arguing the same things all over again.
I'll be right back.
Everything's circular. Everything ends back at the same place. Anyway, that's enough about those people for today, because today is the day that MPs return to Parliament Hill for a new sitting of the House of Commons. It will probably be a rather lively affair. Liberal House Leader Karina Gold says that the government has big plans to address the shortage of rental units in Canada, as well as the cost of groceries and pharmacare. She's making a big point about talking about affordability and personal security. So, all the comments going on about crime at the moment. She says, we are delivering big, important programs for Canadians, but we also need to be mindful of making sure that we're spending appropriately. Now, Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre, of course, says that the cost of living crisis was started exclusively by the Trudeau government, that nothing ever happened in the 8 years before that. There's nothing that the Conservative government did before that, or the Liberal government did before them, or the Conservative government did before that. Like trickle down or repeated tax cuts to people who didn't need them, or starving programs of funding, or not raising the minimum wage for many years, or forcing public servants to 1% salary increases, even when we were hitting our inflation target of around 2%. None of that. And that all of this happened in the space of 8 years.
Well,
no groundwork was laid.
You heard him say something to the effect of, when I was housing minister.
He never was.
You never were, because there was no housing minister under Stephen Harper.
Yes.
So more bald-faced lies. How does he continue to get away with this shit unanswered? That's the part that troubles me the most.
It's the quantity of them. It's the Trump playbook.
Yeah. Flood the zone.
The sheer quantity of lies makes it such that if you're a journalist and you want to ask him about something, the second he says one, if you get distracted by the lie, which you should, as far as I'm concerned. The interview should stop there, and you say, "Well, wait a minute, you said this," and you just keep on harping on that and if that takes the 5 or 10 minutes of the interview, and you only talk about that, and you keep on nailing him into a corner, and he keeps on shifting and whatnot, and you never move on from that, then that's the interview, because he doesn't get his message out then either.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I watched a TikTok yesterday. Some guy going on about how when the journalist from, was it CTV or Global, asked him about how he's fomenting the extreme right.
Yep.
Who says this? Who said it? Who said it? And they go, he really schooled her on that one. I'm like, what? No,
Yeah.
he was a petulant asshole.
Yep.
Who wouldn't pull that shit with a male reporter?
Yep. Now, this guy's only been minister of two things: democratic reform, July 15, 2013 to November 4th, 2015, where he produced a monstrous and horrible bill that ended up having his government laughed out of government. So way to go there. And while he was doing that, on February 9th, then Stephen Harper added to his portfolio Minister of Employment and Social Development. And I guess that's what he's calling when he's saying that's when he was the Minister of Housing, because housing might fall under that. But he was that from February 9th, 2015 to November 5th, 2015. So I'm sure in those 10 months or so, he completely revolutionized the landscape.
Oh, yeah, totally.
While he was taking care of absolutely everything else that a Minister of Employment and Social Development, so that's your social insurance number, student loans, OAS, everything that you go to Service Canada for, pretty much, while he was still Minister of, well, democratic reform.
Yeah, which is,
I guess after his bill went nowhere.
Democracy.
Yeah.
It was taking the democracy away from you.
Yeah, I'm guessing that after his bill went nowhere, he had nothing more to do as Minister of Democratic Reform, and that's why he had that portfolio added on. Here, keep busy. So, no, he was never housing minister.
Not once ever.
Not once ever.
Never.
He might have had some responsibility for housing somewhere along the way as Minister of Employment and Development, but if he had a big achievement back then, I'm sure he would have been bragging about it then.
Of course he would have.
So, yeah, he didn't. Yeah.
In his 20 years in politics, all he's done is create a compliance agreement with Elections Canada. Really, that's the only thing he's ever done that was actually noticeable or noteworthy. The only thing he's ever done.
Pretty much.
He's never tabled any actual legislation.
No, the Democratic Reform Bill was the only one.
That's it. And
can you imagine being in 20 years in Parliament,
doing nothing and getting paid,
having no accomplishments?
And people want to elect this guy again, and people want this guy to be the next prime minister. He's done nothing in 20 years but suckle at the teat of the taxpayer. And people think he's this great champion for the worker. He's voted against workers countless times. His record is there for us all to see. He voted against childcare, pharmacare, dental care. He's voted against unions. He's anti-union, but tells us he's pro-worker. Bullshit.
Yeah.
Bullshit. Bullshit.
Total.
He hates the working class. He hates the unwashed. He hates the poor. He only loves the wealthy because they keep him employed. That's it. That's it. That's all. Nothing more to say. He is a vile human being. And I saw a thing yesterday. Somebody said, look, if we had the election tomorrow, 91% chance the CPC would take, the election's in 2 years. So what they're leading in the polls today means nothing. It's 24 months before the next election. 24 months. So leading the polls 2 years prior to an election is completely meaningless. Completely. So what's your bragging? Oh, look at how far ahead we are. You haven't won a damn thing, and the election's in 2 years. I don't care. And you know how I feel about polls.
Yep.
And again, like I said the other day, I said this on I didn't say it on our show. I was on Casual Friday with James on Blackballed, and I said I think. Did I say it on our show? Maybe I did. I think all polls should be suspended from public release 6 months before the election.
Yeah, you've mentioned it on our show too.
I did. Okay. Yeah. Seriously, 6 months before an election. And somebody says, well, federal elections can, yeah, you're right. Federal elections can fluctuate, but provincial elections are every 4 years. That's fixed. I mean, yes, there could be a non-confidence and we could have, but how often does that happen provincially? Has that ever happened in our lifetime? I don't think so. If somebody can show me maybe what took place in Alberta,
Okay.
but I think that was that was just a change of leader. That election was actually on schedule, was it not? I believe it was.
Possibly, yeah.
So,
my memory's not
literally,
all that good on that one. I'd have to look at.
I would like to table a motion, and I will talk to my MP about this and my MPP that I think public polls. Yeah, there you go, Linda. Once the writ is dropped, although that is a short time frame, but at least once the writ is dropped, that's it. No public knowledge of what the polls, who's leading, who's winning, zero, because it's too influential. It's way too influential on people who want to make an informed decision. And I think that was a large part of the reason why we had such a low turnout in the last provincial election, because people, well, my vote's not going to do anything. They're already saying Doug's going to win. And it worked. The strategy worked. And all the conservative-owned newspapers and publications in the country that were clamoring for Doug to get elected, even, conservative publications in different parts of the country that are not in Ontario were clamoring for him to get elected because it pushes their message forward. And he got elected with a landslide majority, 17% of the population. 17. So that was adorable. 17% of the population. Like, really? Like, come on. 17% of the 43% elected that guy.
Yep.
That's not a majority. But in this case, it was.
He's my boo. I love him. I'm such a sucker.
I'm sorry, Bridget's
I
not
love
here.
love.
Sorry, Dan. Bridget's not here. She's at home. She's at her place today. I stayed there last night and drove home this morning. So, and when I woke up, it was very cold in her house. She's like, it's freezing. I'm like, yeah, it is. And I stepped outside and went, it's warmer outside than it is in your house. She's like, what? I'm like, it's 15 steps outside. Oh my God, you're right.
Wow.
I think the air conditioning kicked in at some point last night, so chilled the house down and then kept the cool in. That happens.
So, I want to bring your attention to a certain story that a lovely kid on Twitter who goes by Kate Miner at Kate Miner 2 sent to me because I had posted Sarah Fisher, the mouthpiece for the Hong Kong lady. It's a question: what separates a land of abundance and opportunity from being nation of prosperity? Answer: a government that distorts price signals with money printing, red tape, and over-regulations, high taxation, wasteful government spending, and a leader who doesn't believe in the people, which is precisely that which the Conservatives did under Harper during the 2008 financial crisis. They printed money.
Yeah. That was okay, though, because it was our guy who did it. When your guy does it, it's bad.
Which contributed to inflation. They actually, if I remember correctly, then in addition to doing that, because they starved problems of additional money and announced money, thus making it such that they actually precipitated us into a second recession, a mini one. But everybody told them, don't pull back so fast. You're going to do something bad. And they didn't listen. The trained economist, Stephen Harper, didn't listen and sent us into a second recession. So all of those things, in addition to starting programs of announced money and selling GM shares that belong to all of us at fire sale prices for an optics stunt that failed in an election that they already knew they were going to lose based on what polling was saying. And that was what public polling was saying before the writ was dropped, as you mentioned. So, I'm not sure why it is they even thought they were going to make that election, decided to sell public goods off that way, because they knew they weren't going to win. Well, Kate Miner then took a clip from an article and put it under my tweet. And I was like, when I read it, I was like, ooh, I would love a link to this source article, please. And she obliged. And it's an article from way back in 2012, November 14th, 2012, from the Georgia Strait.
Hmm.
And you know how I mentioned on the previous show, because Pierre and teams are trying to convince people that all of this happened in the last 8 years. When Stephen Harper left, you could still buy an affordable home and everything was great. The prices of houses hadn't skyrocketed by an incredible or ridiculous percentage as well. Right? And of course, in all this complaint, he's also forgetting that there was a period of time because nobody knew how long COVID was going to last and whether, living at home and working at home was the new normal. There's a lot of people that got rid of their homes and moved away.
Hmm.
So we all played, when we already have a short supply, a whole bunch of us played musical houses,
Oh, yes.
which really adds to price inflation at that moment because the supply didn't get bigger and there was way more people in the market competing. So you want to know how far back this stuff goes? The federal government will have to answer to the United Nations Human Rights Council in Geneva for its failure to keep its promises to the international community around housing. This was 2012. 2012, 3 or 4 years before Prime Minister Trudeau became Prime Minister and about after 7 years of Harper. Michael Shapcott, Director of Affordable Housing and Social Innovation at the Toronto-based Wellesley Institute, told the Georgia Strait by phone that in 2009, Canada made several pledges to the Universal Periodic Review process. This was created by the UN in 2006 to hold countries accountable for their human rights records by forcing them to answer to questions from other countries. In April 2013, Canada is scheduled to undergo scrutiny of its performance since the last review. Quote, Canada's specific commitment was, we recognize more needs to be done. We promise we'll work with the provinces and territories and we'll come up with a strategy, Wellesley said. They've absolutely completely failed in that regard of having a strategy. And that was a very, 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 very well-worn conservative strategy, telling us, we have a strategy, we have a plan, we have a strategy, we have a plan, but never actually telling us what that strategy and that plan was and never delivering it. That was the thing with environmental and climate change, right? Well,
Hmm.
the Liberals said we should do this, but we've got our own plan, is what they would say. Okay, well, what is that plan? In 10 years from government, they never actually introduced the plan and never, never enacted it. That was the plan. They had their own plan. They executed it to perfection. They did sweet fuck all. Back to the article. The Wellesley Institute filed a 5-page document with the Universal Periodic Review citing a litany of Canadian cutbacks to housing programs. It states that in 2009, the federal government announced $2.1 billion in new funding for affordable housing over a 2-year period, plus another $5.7 billion for homeowners in the middle and upper income brackets. So that was $7.8 billion that were announced in 2009. Now, $7.8 billion in 2009 was worth a whole lot.
Hmm.
Now, because if I remember correctly, the Greenbelt stuff that was valued at about $8 billion just a few short years ago would be valued at 25, right? Today.
24, 25 today. That's right.
2024 today. So let's see, 7.8 in 2009. I'm going to look at that a little later with the Bank of Canada calculator to see what that's like. So remind me to do that, Mr. Grizzly. By 2011, these short-term measures were terminated. So he announced $7.8 billion in 2009, and somewhere in 2011, he ended them. And there was a 39% reduction in affordable housing funding compared with the previous year. Harper did that.
Hmm.
But Pierre wants you to believe it all happened in the 8 years before. Quote, since most federal dollars were matched by provinces, territories, municipalities, nonprofit, and private housing organizations, the combined loss added up to more than $3.5 billion in 1 year, the Institute declares in the document. Quote, included in the federal cuts were 97% cut in affordable housing initiative from $452 million to $16 million. A 94% cut in national low-income housing repair program from 674 million to 37 million. So, in other words, Stephen Harper was officially a national slumlord. And if Pierre wants to take credit for doing that during his time, well, those things were cut after 2011, and that would be after 2011 is when he was the so-called Minister of Housing. So let him take credit for this. See, 94% was cut in national low-income housing. I mentioned that, and 27% was cut on the on-reserve Aboriginal housing from 215 to 156 million, and there was a 5% cut in assisted housing from 1.7 to 1.6 billion. He cut certain programs 94%,
Right to the
97%.
bone.
In addition, the Institute revealed that a federal crown corporation, the Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation, the one that PP is calling gatekeepers and wants to kneecap, well, it seems that that's something that he borrowed from Harper as well, will cut the number of households receiving assistance under federal programs by almost 100,000 or 16% between 2008 and 2016. And CMHC's expenditures on the Affordable Housing Initiative will fall from 582 million to zero between 2010 and 2015, which again
Wow.
is the time when Pierre was the alleged Minister of Housing.
Why,
In 1990,
why are we the only ones reporting this, though?
because this was reported back in 2012, and
I know, but it should be
yes,
regurgitated.
well, that's why I'm bringing it up, because it's only, and the only reason I have this data is because, again, some eagle-eyed Canadian citizen, Kate Miner, decided, hey, you guys remember this? And happened to do it to someone who has a platform. But this is all work that our media could do. Finding this out.
If they wanted to,
Yep.
if there was a will.
Yep. In 1992, the year before Ottawa canceled funding for new affordable housing, various levels of government contributed 0.57% of the gross domestic product to housing. 0.57%. It's not like we were spending tons, according to the Institute. Since then, there has been a, quote, massive erosion in public housing spending and legislated housing protection. 15 years later, Canada's GDP had doubled, but housing spending had shrunk to 0.29% of GDP, the Institute states in its submission. Now, the Conservatives will take that and says, well, yes, I know that spending shrunk to 0.29, but our GDP has doubled, and since 0.29, well, it's exactly half at 0.57%. So there was no change, or spending levels have been maintained, or if they added $1 more to the level they spent the year before. Well, record levels of, well, yes, if last year you spent $1 billion and this year you spend $1,001, I guess that is a record level of spending, technically. Doesn't meet the cost of inflation, doesn't look so really you're falling behind in real numbers, but I guess technically it's record spending. If you're just looking at the number. Shapcott said that the international community doesn't expect Canada to solve the housing problems of every citizen, but it does expect things to improve. In 2009, the then UN Special Rapporteur on Housing, Milun Kotari, reported that Canada was violating this notion of realizing progressive gains and that things were in fact getting worse. Things were getting worse, according to the UN, in Canada during the Harper era. But if we believe Skippy, this all happened. It's all Trudeau's fault, and it all happened in the last 8 years. No groundwork has been laid. Nothing that ever happened before could have helped contribute to the problem or set us further down the hill than we were before they took power. This is all new, we're supposed to believe. According to Shapcott, representatives of other countries have told him they're, quote, shocked that Canada appears to be falling behind. Really? Did you see who was leading us? They also can't understand why Canada, unlike other industrialized countries such as the United States and Great Britain, has no national housing strategy in place to address this. Well, again, that was their plan, right? We've got a plan to do this. Our plan is to have no national housing strategy. One of the key, just like our plan was to have no environmental policy. One of the key things we want to say is not only is Canada failing to meet its obligations, but it's also failing to meet its commitments it made last time around in 2009 when it was under the Universal Periodic Review, which was also under Harper's time. The Institute ends its submission with several recommendations to the Canadian government, including a call to, quote, incorporate the international right to housing into domestic law. not done yet, I believe, and to, quote,
No.
immediately commit to renew and enhance the federal housing and homelessness programs that are due to expire in fiscal 2013. That sure as hell didn't happen. Quote, housing insecurity is widespread and homelessness is on the rise, the Institute states. The impact is measured in poor health and premature mortality of the growing number of precariously housed Canadians. There you go. That was the article. So that was back in 2012. 11 years ago.
Wow.
And that's the groundwork they laid. So they cut the funding in 2011 sometime. Trudeau became prime minister in 2015. And they already weren't meeting their commitments before that, but then they cut funding to a lot of these programs almost down to zero, in some cases right down to zero. Right? In the case of the Affordable Housing Initiative, that was cut to zero, from 582 million to zero. And then that went on, if we just take the 2011 date, for 4 years. A lot of damage could be done in 4 years. But they had started way before. So this guy right here, on our dime, on our time, is traveling across the country, left, right, and center, up, down, all around, telling us that all this is Trudeau's fault. And when he was housing minister, oh, he did so much for us. While he was basically supervising over this, making sure that this funding stayed this low. He knows it. He was there when it happened, not only in government, but according to him, he was the housing minister when it happened. He's literally looking right into the camera and lying to your face and pretending that he cares about the fact that you can't get affordable housing, when he managed programs that cut funding for affordable housing by 97, 94, and 100%. In 3 huge programs. And then by other amounts in other programs.
Yeah.
Yes.
I hear you.
Oh, breaking news. According to Miss Sadeka, Mateo is grumpy this morning. Mateo, buddy, what's going on, my friend? Come in. Come get a hug.
Did you wake up on the wrong side of the bed, little buddy?
Oh.
It
Come
happens.
get a hug, buddy. Don't worry. The day will get better. The day will get better. Yeah. Tough moment, big feelings, but the day will get better. Don't worry, my friend. All right? Have some Honey Nut Cheerios.
I would like some Honey Nut Cheerios.
You never know, eh? So, yeah, we are being gaslighted like you would not frickin' believe, particularly on this one.
Oh, yeah.
From PP. So, yeah, that when those I'm going to try and bring up those facts a little more often when I'm interacting, but when I'm just happy now to have some data to go back, because it's kind of hard to, when you're going back 11 years and you're trying to do a Google search, where was that piece of information I saw 12 years ago? Ugh, it could take you a while to find it.
Well, you got to remember too, as far
So
as
that someone delivered it right to my door. It's like, thank you.
well, as far as the current crop of reformers are, if it didn't happen in the last 24 hours, it never happened as far as they're concerned. Don't tell me about that thing I did 12 years ago. That doesn't matter. What I did right now, right in this moment, that's what's important. They have no recall, no recollection, no memory. Everything that was done was Justin Trudeau's fault. Everything that's happened in the last century was Justin or Pierre who did it. And it's all bad, no matter what.
Oh, that old Harpernesia has me in its spell.
Harpernesia.
Harpernesia never happened. We had Trudeau father, we had Martin, and then we had Trudeau's son. And everything bad happened as a result of that. Nothing happened in those other periods. Well, what about Tres? We never talk about Tres. That's like,
an interesting fact that a lot of people might not be aware of today, because this took place. The agreement was 1978, and the delivery, I think, was 1981, 82 is when they started to deliver. So our Canadian Air Force were using CF-101 Voodoos as a fighter jet, which were older than all of the pilots in them. And who was it who ordered the replacement of those jets? Pierre Trudeau. So, the conservatives always go on like they're the champions of the military. Always. They always do it constantly. It never fails. We're the champions. We love the military. We're this, we're that. The thing is, truth be told, they use the military as a cudgel. It's a tool for them because they're the ones who closed all the Veterans Affairs offices.
Yep.
They never replenished them with new aircraft.
Yep.
That's always been done by the Liberals. Who do you think started the Avro Aero program?
Yep.
That was the Liberal. And who canceled it? The Conservatives. Believe it or not, and people go, well, the Liberals amalgamated our armed forces from the Army, Navy, and Air Force and put it all into the Canadian Armed Forces. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. Now, Harper brought it back to the Royal Canadian Air Force, the Royal Canadian Navy, the Royal Canadian Army. Fine. I don't care about that. Which government has done more to equip our CAF members? It's the Liberals. It's always been the Liberals. And that seems to be conveniently forgotten every time the Conservatives want to use them as a cudgel. And I say conservatives as in the past.
Yes.
Joe Clark wasn't in office long enough to ever do that. And I don't know that he would have, because Joe Clark is a good and decent man. And he could not be bought off. And my mother, who has always been a lifelong Liberal, makes no privacy of that. I'm not revealing anything anybody who doesn't know about her. Loved Joe Clark. Because he's a good, decent man. So I kind of got off topic there for a second, but it was always been the Liberals that were the ones who were equipping the military. And I know that there was an agreement in principle for the F-35 under Harper, but it was, as we all discovered, a really bad deal. But that didn't actually start under Harper. That goes back to Chrétien, I believe, is when they first started to look into it. And I'm still mad about Chrétien for canceling the EH-101 helicopters because he wanted to destroy a conservative plan under Brian Mulroney.
Yeah,
that was a stupid thing to do. It cost us billions. It cost us lives. We had to pay penalties of $840 million, and then we, keep manufacturing our own parts to keep the Sea King helicopters flying. And they were a 50-year-old helicopter. I'm sorry, I don't want to fly in something that old. The pilot wasn't even born when this thing was on, should have been retired. So,
yeah.
And of course now we have the Prime Minister's plane breaking down because it's 36 years old. Look, man, you don't drive your car as a daily driver that's that old. You might have a classic that you drive to the Tim Hortons for a classic car club or a car show, but it's not your daily driver. You're not going to drive to Vancouver in it, right?
Right.
So why do you expect the Prime Minister of the country to fly in a 36-year-old plane that we know is held together with duct tape and crazy glue? Don't be ridiculous. Spend the goddamn money.
Right.
We don't need to build a Taj Mahal, but come on, spend the money on a new aircraft.
Yeah, exactly. We have apparently there's a fleet of 9 that will be arriving. The first one is supposed to arrive in October, or not in October, but sometime in the fall. A government fleet. Some of them old, and some of them used, and some will need to be refurbished and or upgraded to be able to provide the security that the Prime Minister needs. But it seems that the first one will be arriving this fall. So hopefully that will be the last of those. I did the calculation. Sorry?
Tim's comment here on the screen. They should have done the helicopter deal. My dad flew in every one of them, and he's 81. My dad's 82. He flew in all of them, too, because he was the engine specialist. He was the one who kept the engine working. So, yes.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Grizzly's dad.
Yeah.
Gee.
He kept those aircraft flying.
So just the calculation that $7.8 billion that I was talking about that Harper cut in 2009, in
Yes.
today's money, that's worth $10.75 billion.
It's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. And again, when you hear those numbers constantly, you get desensitized to them and you forget how much a billion is.
Now,
what's a million seconds? What's a million seconds? 2 weeks, and a billion is 32 years.
Yeah. So that was just from housing. Now imagine everything government does, all the money he announced and cut back. And now you know where those $20 billion annual deficits in the first 2-3 years of Trudeau went. He had to fill up all those holes
Yep.
as much as possible. And there's no way he could have filled all of them up. And that's the thing with these things. When you stop investing in stuff and you do it for a while, not only does it cost more to fix it, right? Let's say you've got a hole in your roof. And you say, oh, well, I don't have the money now. I'll fix it 3 years from now. Every time it rains, every time it snows. When you finally come time to fix your roof, well, one, you might not even have a house by that time. It's just going to cost more. I have a slight crush on his dad.
It's true. She does.
Man. So yeah, it's you can't create that amount of deficit in a program, structural deficit in a program, and then think it's not going to cost more to fix it later, and that you're not going to have to try and make up for the opportunity cost that you've lost by not having it when it was needed. That man set us back so much. Like this, and it's almost like time release surprise, because it's been 8 years since he's been gone almost.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, and we keep on opening boxes and finding like, surprise! This is another way I screwed you over that you guys didn't know about back in the day.
Yep.
It does not make me happy. All right. So, leaders are going back to Parliament today. Pierre says the cost of the living crisis and the housing crisis was started by the Trudeau government. We've just showed that it's not. He's back to his old lines of, after 8 years of Justin Trudeau, everything costs more, work doesn't pay, and housing costs have doubled. Well, everything costs more, and you have a whole party right now crying about, oh my God, is the Trudeau government going to bring in price controls? So clearly, you don't really care about everything costing more, because any solution to make it such that everything doesn't cost more gets labeled as price controls instantly. So that's not it. Work doesn't pay. Well, you don't support raising the minimum wage. You don't support workers fighting for higher wages through unions or strikes. You don't support raising the minimum amount that people can make before they even get taxed. And you certainly don't support raising the minimum wage.
No.
So
We're here for the workers. We're here for the workers to service us.
So
that's all there is. So,
but what problem exactly do you have with work not paying then, Pierre? And housing costs have doubled. Yeah, in great part because you presided over a ministry of housing that didn't really exist at the time, but you're bragging about the fact that it did now, that was not providing any housing.
Mm-hmm. No housing, no solutions, no nothing. Basically, no nothing.
So one little line, after 8 years of Justin Trudeau, not even 8 years, everything costs more, but he doesn't care about that. Work doesn't pay. He'll do nothing to fix that, and shown throughout his entire career that he doesn't want people to be paid, and housing costs have doubled.
And he's against unions.
Yeah. So 4 big lies in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, a 16-word sentence.
Wow.
A 16-word sentence contained 4 huge whoppers. He's Trump.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He's Trump. Now, the NDP leader, Jagmeet Singh, says that the Prime Minister is out of touch. Quote, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is never really worried about the cost of living. It's never been a worry for him, nor has it really been a worry for PP. Nor has it been for you, Mr. Rolex.
Yeah.
See,
None of them. Not a single one of
but
them.
see, had he said Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is never really worried about the cost of living, it's never been a worry for him, nor has it been really a worry for Pierre Poilievre. And to be honest, it has never been a worry for me too. But I care. No. But by excluding himself and trying to make himself, it's just like, we know who you are. We know your past. We know your family. You never worried where your next meal's coming from either. Don't make it sound like you're apart from the two people you're criticizing.
You're no
On this
different.
level, you've never worried about it too. Your difference between you and them, according to you, what you're saying is that you actually care about the issue and you'll do something. Well, don't pretend you're one of us while you're doing it. We know you're not. We know you're not.
Mhm.
Some of the topics that MPs are due to begin debating on as Parliament reconvenes is bail reform. Number one, the government has put forward a bill designed to make it harder for repeat offenders who are charged with violent crimes to obtain bail. So let's see how that goes. Of course, there's going to be some talk about the Public Inquiry Commission that's going to happen on election interference, because that's moved forward as well.
Oh,
The
I
appointment
think
of the
we
new
lost
interim
Mr. Beaver.
ethics commissioner, or maybe that will be from the government, boasting
Mm.
because the Conservatives spent all of that summer claiming that none of this was in place. Of course, again, while not saying, oh, by the way, we ran them out of town first. Both the interim ethics commissioner and the special rapporteur, they ran out of town first before complaining that there was nobody in those positions. They first made sure that there was nobody in those positions. Then they complained about it.
Well,
Then they blamed the prime minister for that. So
that's how they do it.
that's how they do it. This is how they do it. Boom, 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 boom. This is how cons do it. Eh. It's just
La 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 la.
oh man. Okay. What else have we got for you today here? Let's not do that. Let's
Well,
not do
did you
that.
see? Did you see this clip from? So Jacinda
Yes.
Ardern was in Montreal for the Global Action Summit,
Yes.
and some video journalist for Rebel News Online, Lincoln J. Watch, I caught the far-left former Prime Minister of New Zealand, Jacinda Ardern, on her way to the Global Action Summit here in Montreal. She has no answer when confronted on her hypocritical behavior, carbon tax the plebes, jet set for the elites, no greenreset.com. What is he going on about? Let's have a look at this video. I haven't seen it yet, so I don't know. Let's see what this looks like here. Oh, look at that. Construction on Montreal streets. That's a shocker. That's not a thing that ever happens, is it?
Hey, how are you? How much fossil fuels did you burn coming here to talk about climate change?
Leave her alone.
Hey,
Leave her alone.
I'm on a sidewalk.
No, leave her alone.
You can't touch me.
Leave her alone. You leave her
Does
alone.
that make sense?
You leave her alone.
Does that make sense?
Man, leave her alone.
You cannot touch me.
Leave her alone.
You can't put your hands on me. Dude, you can't touch me like that. I'm on a sidewalk, eh?
Please leave.
I'm not on the property.
Leave the former Prime Minister alone.
Sorry?
Just leave the former Prime Minister alone.
Yeah? You can't put your hands on me like that, eh? Just so you know.
What an asshole.
What an asshole.
Like, really? Oh, I confronted her. You'd front her?
You didn't confront her. And how did you get there to ask her that question?
Dick. How much fossil fuel? Oh, right. I'm sorry. Let's see. Society is terrible, yet I also live in it.
But it's like because you've used fossil fuels to get right, this whole attitude, right? It's like if you decide, if you are pro environment, pro fighting climate change, but you do not agree to condemn yourself to living in some cave back in the caveman era. And remember, back in the caveman era, well, we did everything by burning wood, right? Which also releases carbon.
Which is what the
Right?
big
Brilliant.
problem when it comes to pollution in New Delhi, India. One of the largest contributing factors is wood burning stoves that people use to cook their food. Legitimately, that is one of the biggest contributing factors. Also, they tend to do what they do in New Brunswick, and they burn their fields at the end of a harvest so that it renews for the next year. So,
Yep.
you know,
Yeah, but
it's all bad.
But that's what I mean. It's like, yes, if you're going to solve this problem, none of you can use any gas. And while I'm going to, rag on you for having used a train or a car or a plane or whatnot to get here, when I used a train or a car or plane to get here, to criticize you for using a plane or train or car to get here.
She came here from New Zealand. How? Sailboat? You want her to travel by sailboat? Okay,
Oh,
see
yeah.
in 3 months. You do realize at a time before you could fly that distance, you had to take a ship. And it took 2 months to get here from New Zealand. Legitimately. That's how long it took.
Well, why didn't she do the meeting from over there over Zoom then? Because, well, of course, this guy would not understand the value of actual human interaction face to face. That might have been a low blow. That might have been a low blow.
That's fine.
Might. But frankly, you know what? I don't care. He's a dick. All right. To our friends living out on the East Coast. From what I can tell, and maybe Kit Saucy can pipe in here if she's on with us, post-tropical storm Lee has come and gone. The region escaped relatively unscathed, unlike the case with Fiona and Dorian. The status of the storm had been downgraded around midnight on Sunday, but the storm still left about 100 millimeters of rain in certain places, took out trees and washed out roads, leading to, as of last night at least, 8 provincial roads being closed. Storm surges have led to localized flooding, and a small bridge near Lunenburg was damaged, but one lane has since reopened. As of last night, before going to bed, 24,000 in Nova Scotia were without power, but at the maximum time where people were out of power, it was about 125,000. So Nova Scotia Power has been getting people connected relatively quickly. And New Brunswick was about 2,200 homes and businesses by the time I went to bed that were still without power. So hopefully crews will be able to get everything repaired and back functioning relatively quickly. But even though it was a big storm, it seems that it wasn't as bad as it could have been or was expected to be. So thank goodness for that. I'm just going to check to see on the chat if Kit Saucy has something there for us. But
Well, I do
still
know
a
that
lot without power, but not too bad. The coastline of Nova Scotia can handle waves a bit better than PEI. Some trees down and roads near coastlines and rocks and debris. Right. Thank you so much.
The storm it wasn't nearly as bad as everybody thought it was going to be. So that's a saving grace. It was not as bad. It was bad, but it could have been catastrophically worse, and thankfully it wasn't.
Thankfully it wasn't. So glad everybody's. I haven't heard any reports yet of anybody having to go to hospital or anybody being harmed, or so. Hopefully that is indeed the case.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. One other thing about
this statement here from Linda. She says, "I regret that we put in a Generac generator, which uses natural gas, but we need a generator because Ontario doesn't invest in rural electricity infrastructure." You shouldn't regret that, Linda. You have to do what you have to do to take care of you and yours. And because the province isn't doing a damn thing to help you, you did what you needed to do. Natural gas is a cleaner burning fuel than a gasoline generator. So you did what you had to do when you did the right thing. So don't feel guilty about that. You shouldn't regret that.
Yep.
You
I
have
concur.
to take care of yourself. Nobody else will do it. Obviously, this government won't.
Yeah. Put on your own mask first.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what it boils down to, right?
Right. Now, as MPs are getting ready to come back to the House, like we're talking about Pierre, and Pierre, when he's talking about housing again, he's come up with a new term over the weekend. He's calling it housing hell that we're in, and he said something that was a little interesting in there when he's finished that everything costs more quote, and I want you to think about what this could possibly mean, considering what's already going on in the nation. So he says, everything costs more, work doesn't pay, as we mentioned, like this, and housing
Mhm.
costs have doubled. And then he says, my plan, his 2-point plan, says to the cities, I don't care how you do it, just do it. For housing.
How's that a plan?
His leadership, I don't care how you do it, just do it. Build 15% more, or else I will punish you. And if you do, you get a housing bonus. Ding, 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 ding. And a free box of Duncan Hines cake mix. I don't care how you do it, just do it. That's exactly what Doug Ford said to Ryan O'Mato. I care how you do it.
Mm-hmm.
And as Prime Minister, you should. You should not be telling anyone, I don't care how you get it done, just get it done. I don't care if it's illegal. I don't care if it's underhanded. I don't care if it's corrupt. You don't care how it's done, just get it done? Really?
Well, that's his slogan, get it done.
Jeez. Now you've got you've got Jagmeet Singh, he says he's gonna introduce a bill today to take action on price gougers. And again, the Conservatives with their, again, trademark can't do attitude. This is more political theater. Justin Trudeau is an actor, but what we really need is action. Says the guy that says, my plan is, I don't care how you do it, just do it. My plan is to stand there with my hands on my hips, with my squinty eyes, and every now and then, maybe a chubby finger condescending wag. That's my plan. And then get it done. And I'm going to turn on my heels and then close the door behind me and walk into my little office where I'm going to, as Anna says, sit and ponder the big issues meticulously and put so much deep analysis into it that I come out with a plan that says, build 15% more or I punish you and I don't care how you do it, just do it. Are you in awe of the leadership yet? Because I'm getting moist between my pectoral muscles.
You're getting humidititties?
I'm getting humidititties. It's just
That's a thing.
such leadership.
Mm.
I mean, where can we get ourselves more slices of people just saying, get it done? Or else.
Does he think this is like a construction site and we're digging a hole? Get it done.
Just
Make it happen. Does he think he's Mike Holmes? Make it right?
or Tim Gunn.
Which he's trademarked that, by the way. Mike Holmes trademarked that. So
Yeah.
thank you, Mike Holmes. I'm borrowing that for a second.
Or Tim
We're
Gunn.
not selling anything or promoting anything. We're just talking about it.
That's right. We
Don't sue me.
need Mike Holmes and Tim Gunn. We need Mike
Yes.
Holmes, like his comment says, make it right. And then we need Tim Gunn from Project One Way. I am very, very concerned by this municipal zoning thing. It has to be one of the most hideous things I've ever seen. Well, the deadline's in 12 hours. Make it work.
Years ago, my friend's daughter years ago said to me, "You remind me of Clinton." I'm like, "Bill Clinton? I don't look anything like Clinton." She goes, "No, Clinton from some fashion. I don't know who the guy
Oh,
is.
okay.
I guess he was on some sort of fashion, like a Tim Gunn type character.
Okay.
I don't know Clinton. If anybody in the chat knows who the heck that is,
Yeah,
please
please look him
inform
up.
me because I haven't got a clue." And I'm like, I don't know who the guy is, so I can't be
Okay.
insulted or flattered. I don't know who it is.
I said Clinton and fashion, and I've got a whole bunch of pictures of fashion icon Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, that's
Pop.
not what she meant.
So I can't
think it
help
was-
either.
I think it was Say Yes to the Dress or something. I don't know. I
Oh,
don't know.
Clinton. Oh,
Clinton,
Jen knows.
Clinton Tavers.
All right.
I don't know
let's
who
see what
that
it
is.
Let's see. Image.
Do I look like him? I don't think I do. I don't know.
Well, it said Clinton Towers, and again, I get pictures of Bill Clinton. I love it.
I've got multiple Clinton Tavers on here. Biography. Jerome Tavers. No, Carl
nope.
Tavers. 7 Clinton Taver profiles on LinkedIn.
Yep. Nope. Sorry. Got nothing there.
Stacy and Clinton. Oh, what not to wear, Stacy and Clinton.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, let me look that up then. What not to wear? Clinton Kelly
Oh, Clinton Kelly. Okay.
is his name. You have a similar smile.
Okay. I don't know. I'll see if I can find him.
You have it, yeah.
She said I reminded her of him because of mannerisms and the way
Oh,
I speak
yes.
and the way.
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
yeah?
There's a click little image of him talking like this, and he's got your wide open eyes and how your head goes like this.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
American
And-
TV personality and writer.
And he's got gorgeous blue eyes like you do, but hair.
Yeah, I'm older than he is too, only by about a year.
Yeah, but when you get that impish, that little impish smile that you have,
Mm.
yeah, I see how people might ask if you're related.
If you say so, I don't know. I don't really know who the person is, but sure. Maybe I'll try and find some of his stuff somewhere and see.
Oh yes, and your savvy fashion sense, Mr. Grizzly. Yes, he is. Mr. Grizzly is sartorially gifted.
Thank you.
Yes, I
Thank
do
you for
not
that.
need. Yes, you do. You do not need a gay friend to give you advice. You do quite well on your own.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
In fact, often he's more stylish than I am, kids. Seriously.
Well, I do have to look fabulous,
He's like Beaver, raise your game, man. All right. What else do we have for you here? It seems that the liberals might be starting to take it to Pierre a little bit, because the other day we had a
incrementally, right?
Yeah. Because you don't want to start at 11, but you had a Christopher Freeland leaning into a mic at one point and going, "They positively relish leaning into the gloom, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
Everything is broken pitch can be seductive when people are tired, prices are high, and mortgage renewals are looming." So she's calling it out.
Oh yeah.
She's calling it out. Hopefully that, like I said, just laying that groundwork over time and then building it and doing it consistently over the next 2 years will do it, because again, he can't maintain this frenetic pace for 2 years and not just burn out or have people tune him out.
Well, I think it's a combination of all of the above. People will burn out, people will tune out, and he'll be gone before the next election.
Oh God, I hope so.
I'm sure he will be.
Yes. In labor news, in the United States, 13,000 United Auto Worker employees have walked off the job in the United States. United Auto Workers President Sean Fain says that they are asking for 40% increases. 20% were offered. He's quoted as saying, "We've asked for 40% pay increases, and the reason we asked for 40% pay increases is because in the last 4 years alone, the CEO pay went up 40%. They're already millionaires, you know. It's shameful that one of the leaders of one of the corporations is sitting in his second home in Acapulco while we're bargaining rather than being at the bargaining table." And they're making it clear 20% is definitely a no-go, and we've made that very clear to the companies. Now, this is the first time that the United Auto Workers in the United States are doing this by striking against all three companies simultaneously rather than targeting just one of them. The way that usually happens with the car manufacturers, the auto manufacturers, is usually the unions make a template deal with one of them, which is then used as the basis for the other of the big three to then do theirs. So normally, if there's a strike, they just have a strike at one of the companies, and then this is what could happen. But they have one strike going on at one site for each of the three companies, and now the president of the UAW is saying that there's probably a good chance that they're going to expand their strike to more than just one location at each of the three companies in order to get a little action. Here in Canada, our unions are going to start negotiating. Their agreement that they have, I believe, expires today at midnight or expired at midnight starting Monday. But anyway, it's either at midnight today or just expired at midnight. And they are looking to set up their own deals as well. I believe in Canada that the template deal is going to try to be between the CAW and Ford, from which Stellantis and Chrysler, is it?
Stellantis used to be Chrysler.
Chrysler, yes,
Chrysler is now
Stellantis.
Stellantis. Yeah.
Okay, so it's Ford, Stellantis, and what's the other one now? GM.
General Motors.
GM. So
Well,
what
so the
we
big
might be hearing about some, but they've already voted in favor of strike action a few months ago, so they do have a mandate to go.
Well,
Should
and the
deal not
big
work.
concern to them is the amount of job loss that could occur and will occur, undoubtedly, because Ford said point blank they require 40% of the workforce they have to make electric vehicles.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So if you cut 40% workforce, it's like, ouch, that's a lot of. Okay, so working in the auto industry is hard work. It can be soul crushing, but it is a pathway to the middle class for many, many people because they're
Mhm.
good unionized jobs.
Right.
Well, right now they're trying to compete with Tesla, who is not unionized
Right.
and is mostly automated.
Right.
So, look, I get it. You have to maintain a certain profit margin to stay in business. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it, right? I mean,
Right.
I get that. And the car companies, and it started with, of all people, Henry Ford, who wanted to pay his employees a good wage so they could actually afford to buy the products that they were making. Now, there isn't a story about how he tried to do that, and the shareholders launched a suit against him and sued him to not doing that because his responsibility was to his shareholders primarily.
Right.
And there was a precedent-setting case about this that is
Yes.
enshrined in the what is law? I don't know. It's enshrined though in that the responsibility is to the shareholders and not the employees. You know, the
Yes.
people who built the company. Well, I built the company by investing in it. No, you put money into it. You didn't build the damn thing.
Right.
You bought into it.
Yes.
Your responsibility should be to your employees first, your shareholders second.
Mm-hmm.
What I put money in. Yeah, but this guy worked 18 hours a day for 3 months. And that's how, back then, 12-hour shifts, 6 days a week was the standard
Right.
prior to the union.
Right.
The union got us the weekend.
Right.
Sunday was the only day when things stopped. There was no weekend. It was you work 6 days a week, 10 to 12 hours a day. The union got us the 8-hour work, the 40-hour work week and the weekend. And that is a fact. It's an undeniable fact. So yeah, I've over the course of my life, I've learned to become pro-union when I discovered all the things that the union helped get us in labor laws. You know, on who wants to have a 14-year-old working in the meat packing plants in the U.S. right now. They're changing the ages, and because they're under 18, they don't have to pay them the full minimum wage of what, $7.33 an hour.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll pay them $5 an hour.
Yep.
Exasperated
I know.
all the damn
All the
time.
damn time.
So let's I'm going to go on a bit of a rant here, tangent for a minute. Not an angry one, but just an observational one. How the city of Ottawa has had a war on cars for years. And they want to get more cars off the road, which I agree with. I think that is a good idea in the long term, because the problem right now is we simply don't, no problem, sir. We simply do not have a public transportation infrastructure to support getting more cars off the road. They're like, well, we'll build more bike lanes. And that's great, except Ottawa gets really cold in the winter. And I don't see a lot of people using those bike lanes in the winter. Although the bike lanes are the first things to ever get plowed in the winter. The sidewalks, well, we'll get to that when we get to that. And especially in Centertown, where I live, because we are the poorest ward in the city. We are largely working class and poor. There's middle class and some upper middle class here, and some wealth too. There are some exclusive condos on Spark Street, where the top of the residences is a $4.8 million 12,000 foot condo, 10,000 foot condo, something like that. Anyway, you get what I'm saying. But we're mostly poor and working class in this area of the city. So we tend to get lower down the level of getting things done, which is sad because we're also the most populous ward in the city. So we get ignored. They build bike lanes, they plow the bike lanes, but they don't do anything to increase public transportation. So get cars off the road. Completely agree with that. I think it's a great idea. I think it's wonderful. But can we build the public infrastructure to support transportation before we get rid of the cars? Please? Is that too much to ask? That we have the public transportation infrastructure built up and functioning properly before we eliminate the cars? Because they're putting the cart before the horse right now. Yeah, I get it. And you know what they did? So on O'Connor Street, which used to be a 4-lane southbound arterial road out of the downtown core, it would take you to the 417, or as we call it here in Ottawa, the Queensway. Think of the 401, if you will. It would take you right there, and you could go either east or west, and away you went. Well, they put in a north-south bike lane that takes up a whole lane of traffic. So there's 2 lanes in the bike lane, one northbound, one southbound, on a one-way southbound street, by the way. And then, so that eliminates 4 lanes down to 3. Well, then they took the 3rd lane and they put parking in those spaces. So now we're down to 2 lanes. And now they're reducing the size of the lanes. Sorry, I didn't see you back there, sir. Now they're reducing the size of the lanes by putting curbs that jut out in. So now you have to go around. And case in point, my street, when I drive home, I have to veer off to the right to turn left to get onto my street, which is going to create traffic nightmares and accidents. So they've taken away the parking on that side now, and they've eliminated 2 lanes on the left. Mm-hmm. I don't understand what they're doing. Oh, and by the way, they've been working on this since June. It's September, and they're still not finished. I'll take a photo of it and post it for you tomorrow, because it's just, it makes no sense to me. It makes no bloody sense to me. I understand. Let's get more cars off the road. Completely support that, but let's get the public infrastructure built up and functioning first. We need a Bank Street tunnel. We desperately need one. People go, no, we don't. No, we don't. I go, yeah, we do.
Yeah, we do.
The north-southbound transit train line is far from the core. They go, well, it's only about 4 kilometers away. You're going to walk that in minus 28? Because I sure as hell ain't. Well, you can take a bus there. Yeah, if it shows up. If it shows up. And trying to drive down Bank Street in this city when you hit the glebe, it's a 4-lane road. 1 lane on the right southbound is all parking. 1 lane on the left northbound is all parking. So you've got two functional lanes. They're not very wide, and you have to give 1 meter of space to a cyclist who is riding beside you. Well, the problem with that is there's not actually 1 meter between you and the parked cars.
Yep.
And I drive a Honda Civic. It's not a big car.
Yep.
It's not a subcompact or a compact. It's a sedan. It's a 4-door, but it's not a big car. It's smaller than my old Pontiac was. But I don't have a meter of space between these cars on the right and my door, and I'm supposed to give a cyclist a meter. Please tell me how I can do that. And why is the cyclist on Bank Street when 1 block over is O'Connor with a north-southbound?
Yeah. Yeah, the bike lane should not
lane.
be on Bank Street.
You shouldn't ride your bike down Bank Street, period. If you value your life, you wouldn't do that.
Right.
For those who don't know this, the nation's capital, Bank
It's
Street
narrow.
would be equivalent to gouging in Halifax or Yonge Street in Toronto or St. Catherine Street in Montreal. You should not ride a bike down those roads. Not because the road is very narrow. There's a lot of cars. You could get doored. It's just a bad idea. 1 block away with almost no traffic on it is O'Connor Street, which takes you all the way down to Lansdowne.
Yeah.
Bike lane the whole way.
Right.
But no, people want to insist that they have the right. And you do have the right. You do have the right to drive on that road. But you shouldn't. I have the right to wear a thong, but I don't. Speedo's as far as I'm going to go.
So I had to have a drink there. I had a visual.
Someone's flossing.
Yeah, exactly. That's what
I learned a new term last night.
I still do not know how women wear those. I swear it's dental floss for your butt crack.
Butt floss, butt floss, butt floss, butt floss.
Jeez.
I learned a new term last night. It's called nerve flossing. And it's an exercise that you do. A specialist taught this to Bridget's dad, Bridget's father, Angelo, real sweetheart of a guy. And like, I can't do it properly, but the idea is to, hang on, I'll go to widescreen here for a sec. So you can see the idea is to put your palms flat like this and go like this slowly. And what it does is it moves the nerves within the mylar casing within your body, and it helps to give you the like it's an exercise for your nerves, basically. Nerve flossing. And what it does is that the nerves within the casing will move back and forth, and it helps for, like, if I get carpal tunnel from time to time on a keyboard and hunched over, and they're like, do that, and it will help you for back pain, shoulder pain, neck pain, carpal tunnel. So I'm like, okay, so I'm going to start doing that in the morning, and then I'll lie down on my bed of spikes. I have a bed of spikes, literally a bed of nails. Yeah, I'll show. Hang on, I'll bring up a photo of it here so you know what it is. Do this for. I start off with 20 minutes. It's like do it for 2 minutes, and then if you can, go longer. So I started off doing 20 minutes, and now up to an hour. And now I do this on my couch, which has a memory foam topper. And well, let me just see. I'll show you a close up of what the mat looks like. Give me a second here. I'll show you a close up. See it? Yeah, here we go. This is there's 6,000 spikes.
Okay.
And you lie down on this.
Oh my. Okay.
And it's acupressure.
Okay.
You lie down. You slowly lie down. It's painful. The first 2 minutes are painful, but after that, you start to feel better. And I use it every day now. I'm up to an hour, and so at the end of my work day, I will lie down on that when I get home for 60 minutes, and then I get up, and you start to feel better almost immediately. It helps to relieve pain because it's acupressure, right? So it's 6,000 acupressure points on your back. You can stand on it, you can lie down it. I have a neck pillow for it as well. yeah, so my bed of spikes. Here's I gotta let's see if I can get this to pop up properly, and let's just open this. Where is it? Save image. There we go. And this it's called East versus West Revised, and I'll a photo here. Give me a second if I can get it to for me. Where did it go? Open. Okay, open the picture. Why isn't it opening? Oh, there it is. No, that's not it. Anyway, okay. I'll just show you this picture. Oh, there it is. It opened. It just took a minute. Sometimes. So, oh, did it? Oh, I got to turn it. What's going on here? There we go. So, West, the body responds to pain with endorphins, creating a sense of common well-being. East, discomfort demands attention, turning the mind inwards and building strength from within. Pressures applied to the body and muscles increase circulation and releasing tension. Acupoints are stimulated, ridding energy blockages and engaging the body self-healing system. Now, the energy blockages thing, I don't know if that's real, but try lying on one of those. I recommend it. Start 2 minutes. And I recommend starting on, like a couch or a bed or something. I'm up to an hour, so I'm going to try and get it to. I'm going to try doing 20 minutes today on the floor, the hardwood floor,
Oh,
to
okay.
see. Yeah, because I'll get a little bit more pressure that way, right?
Yes, you
And
will.
to see if that will improve things. I'm going to try and do 20 minutes at the end of the day today. So we'll see. I recommend it. It's my sister told me about it when I was visiting her recently, and I tried it, and she says the first 2 minutes are hell, but after that it's okay. And sure enough, I lied down on it. Within 2 minutes, my sinuses were clear, and I was suffering horribly from my allergy. Within 2 minutes, I could breathe again. It was like, holy crap. So how it works, I don't know, but it works, and I recommend it. So that's my, I guess that's my word of advice for the day.
Oh, good. Yeah. I'm noticing on the chat here, we have Kit Cassie Lake saying, have to get ready for another harvest day. Have a peaceful day, everyone. Remember, there's still goodness out there. So, yeah, hoping that the harvesting goes well, especially in Manitoba.
Out in the Manitoba.
Out in the Manitoba. All right. I'm glad you mentioned all of that, Mr. Grillet.
Oh, yeah?
Well, yeah, because, I mean, we do big, like, the national stuff and whatnot, but and sometimes some international and provincial, but looking down at the local is because I'm sure this is a situation not just in our city. Like,
No,
I
it's
keep on
across the
calling
country
Ottawa our
that,
city
and
now. Yeah.
It's
Love it.
something that, like I said, I'm in agreement with getting more cars off the road. I really am.
Absolutely.
You build more roads, you get more cars. You add another lane to the highway, more cars.
Yes, but it's not just as simple
It's
as
been
just
proven.
putting in a bike lane. You have to adjust other stuff to make it work.
And that's what they haven't done. They've put the cart before the horse.
Right.
And what about for those not everybody has a bicycle, number one. Number two, not everybody can ride one, because you could have a physical impairment that would prevent you from doing so. So you need to take public transit. Like my dad can't ride a bike.
Yep.
I mean, he's capable. Well, he used to be capable, but he's got too many back injuries now. So he needs a cane. He needs a walker. He's 82 years old. These things happen when you get older. The old injuries come back to haunt you. What are you going to do? Tell him to ride a bike? He can't do it. He needs to either drive or take public transit. And public transit is just not reliable enough. And if it works, And I mean, it would probably take him 20 minutes to walk the 300 meters to the train station, there's a train station 300 meters from their house, a new LRT station. And he could take that right downtown, and I could meet him, and then we could go for a pint, and and hopefully we'll be able to do that in the future. But I don't know when the trains are going to be running.
We have some kits. We have some kits also that are agreeing with Matt here. We have PNC Bio says, MS is literally a deterioration of the myelin. I'll see if some nerve flossing doesn't ease my MS. My significant other loves her Matt.
Oh yeah, yeah, okay,
yeah. And then Kit Saucy,
give it a go.
Yeah, Kit Saucy. My mind went to a dark place with a room that had a nail bed and other things.
Yeah, it's not my jam. Not my jam. Yeah, and I agree with you on this one, PNC. G blockages does sound like a lot of woo, but lying on that mat I've noticed it's helped. It has. Yesterday morning, I had a terrible knot in my right shoulder, right behind the blade. And Bridget was trying to massage it out, and we couldn't. Nothing was working. So I said, "Well, let me try," because the mat came with a pillow for your neck, and I thought, "Well, I don't need the whole mat. I'll just put the pillow, which will give me different pressure." Within 10 minutes, the pain was gone.
Yeah.
I was able to function. So
Okay.
it
Kid
works.
Saucy's,
I don't know how.
Kid Saucy's being naughty. Hardwood, you say? And Kid Jen gives you a little buzz too. Yes, the endorphin buzz.
Yes.
I've
Yeah.
yeah, that's a pretty interesting high.
Mhm.
Actually,
Well, runner's high, right?
well, the runner's high, but I've had it once. Can't remember how I acquired it, but I remember, oh my God, I think I was like floaty like for about 2 hours. Just like, hi. It was all peace and love
And
and floating and
that's
super
called a
slow
total
mo.
body orgasm.
Yeah, super slow mo. Oh, and endorphin. Oh, it's so good. I wish I could recreate the feeling, though. It's only happened once. Oh man.
Try scanning that. Let me know if it works. That's the stamp I had made up, and it should take you directly to the YouTube channel. So if anybody wants to try scanning that to see if it works, just to let us know. It should take you straight to our YouTube channel, which I know you're already on, but curious to see
Yeah.
if it's working.
I think that may have been it, Jen. Actually, hot yoga does it too. Blissed out. That may have been it. I remember
Mm.
once I did a hot yoga session at one point where I think we had to bring our arms back like this, and I was
Mm.
so relaxed at one point that my arms, like the shoulder blades, actually flipped and like my arm went down.
Oh my.
And I was sitting there I was in there in the pose. I think I had my head down on the mat, and I think it was almost like a child's pose, but your head down was on the mat. And when I pulled them back, I thought, "Oh crap, my
Mm.
like I just discovered I might be double jointed there." They went
I've
back because it was
broken
like a
something.
Cirque du Soleil type thing, right? Where you bring your arms back like this, and then the shoulders just keep going. And I thought, what if I can't get unstuck from this? Okay, don't panic. Just keep breathing. Keep breathing. Don't tense up. And they did come back. But it was
He'll be
just
all
like
right.
that.
Roll
Yeah,
Charlie
but
around. He'll be all right.
yeah, but the shoulders just like they sort of like what they like flipped, turned on each other. And it's like,
Mhm.
okay, I knew that I had flexible rotator cuffs because I swam butterfly. But
Mm.
yeah, exactly, Jen. Did I just dislocate both my shoulders? It was like, ah. Fortunately, they came back. They slipped right back. So, but yeah, that was a really weird feeling. But yeah, that was the session afterwards. Like, 'cause I think I was floating for 2 hours.
Mm.
I've never been able to get back to that state again, where it's just everything just like,
No, and literally the first time you hit that state will be the most intense,
oh
and you'll
yeah,
never ever get back to it. You're never going to get. It's like when you talk about athletes who they retire, especially elite athletes, they miss the roar of the crowd because the energy buzz you get from that. So they try and figure out other ways to do it. Sometimes they turn to drugs. Sometimes they turn to gambling. It's something to get that rush back.
yep,
You're always pursuing it. You'll never ever have it the same again. The first time is always the best time, and you may get close, you may get really close, but it'll never ever be the same as that first intensity, because it's something you've never experienced before.
mm.
So you're chasing the uncatchable thing, if you will.
Yes. Well, we kind of slightly got off topic there, but hey,
It
it was
happens.
interesting
Hey, general
conversation.
culture. It's not just politics. It's general culture too, right?
Exactly. Couple little tidbits because we're getting late in the show here, and we might be having to call an end to it soon. Um,
Hmm.
when we talked about the G20 meeting in India, there's a couple of additional things that happened out of that you might be interested in, kids. The first thing is that um, there were two major decisions that were arrived at. And the first one is that there seems to be, now I'm not sure it was the whole G20, but it seems to be more like a side deal that happened at the same time. But there is a deal between certain nations to create in not necessarily in opposition, but as a contrast to China's One Belt Road that they're doing the
Mm-hmm.
trade routes. So it's a multinational rail and shipping project that will link India with the Middle East and Europe. that has been announced on the sidelines of the G20 summit. The corridor, which would include India, Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, Jordan, Israel, and the European Union, would help boost trade, deliver energy resources, and improve digital connectivity. So it seems that a lot of nations are looking maybe for another route, given the One Belt project and the fact that China keeps on building more and more islands in the South China Sea and claiming the entire sea as theirs, which will probably have some issues for shipping, particularly
You
now
think?
that China has the world's largest navy. That sort of
Mm.
quietly happened in the background. But the deal will aim to link Middle East countries by railway and connect them to India by port, helping the flow of energy and trade from the Gulf to Europe, U.S. officials have said, by cutting shipping times, costs, and fuel use. So that was the first big thing. And the second big thing is that the African Union, so the group of 55 nations, the continent, have now obtained G20 status as a member nation. Now, of course, the African Union is not a nation, but in the same way that the EU is a member of the G20, the African Union is now and on equal footing with the EU within the organization. That's a big, huge development. But in
Oh,
one
yes.
way, it's sort of like, well, it's like if it's the G20 and the EU is there and they've got 27 member nations and the African Union is there and they've got 55 member nations, are we starting to get like to G80 or something really?
The G187. What?
Don't we already have that called the UN?
Yes, I believe that is the case.
Yeah.
I have some breaking news
Oh, please.
here from the New York Times. Iran releases 5 Americans
Yes.
as the U.S. unfreezes billions in oil revenue for Tehran.
Yes.
The terms of the deal have generated intense criticism from Republicans who accuse President Biden of helping to finance Iran's terrorist activities.
No, that's not what's happening.
It doesn't even matter that you cannot win.
Yeah, but
The
that's not what's
Republicans. No matter what you do, they're gonna shit all over you no matter what you do.
It's the amount of money is $6 billion, and it's money that does not belong to the United States, but money that was frozen. So it's money that belongs
Right.
to Iran that was frozen. It's being unfrozen and transferred back. In return, Washington. So the Iranian authorities will release 5 detained Americans, and in exchange, Washington will release 5 Iranians being held in the U.S. And the exchange is scheduled to happen in Qatar, which is the nation who is brokering the deal. So that's the most I've got on that.
Interesting.
But yeah, and that's been in the works for a while. The Republicans have been trying to lay the groundwork on the Joe Biden has given Iran $6 billion, which will be used against us, and blah, blah, blah type thing. And it's like, no, that's not what's going on. It's actually their money.
Mhm.
So, since we're talking
That's the state of theirs.
internationally, yeah. Since we're talking internationally, we've talked last week about the earthquake in Morocco. That was 6.8, and for which the government has a program right now. If you're donating to the Red Cross, matching funds up to $3 million. But while that was going on, there were big storms in Greece and Bulgaria and Turkey, which led to flooding. Well, it also led to flooding on the south coast of that body of water,
Mhm.
particularly in Libya. Huge storm, which led 2 dams to break and overflow.
Damn.
These dams were in some state of disrepair and had not been tended to. And as a result, there was like a tsunami-like wave that came in and destroyed about the whole quarter of the city of Derna. 11,000 people are confirmed dead. 10,000
Wow.
at least are confirmed missing, and 40,000 are considered displaced according to the United Nations. Just
Wow.
and Morocco and Libya are not that far from each other, so in that part
Yeah,
of
they're
the world,
close.
there's a lot going on. I'm sorry, I'm going back and forth on subjects, so I'm sorry if it's a little scattered just based on
Squirrel.
the notes that I took. Yeah. Also, with regard to India and our relationship with India, which is not that great at the moment. Mary Ng, who is our Minister of Small Trade, I believe. No, not small business. Sorry, that's Richie Valdez now. International Trade has canceled an upcoming trade mission to India. And it seems that Canada and India were in talks for a free trade negotiation, and those have been paused as a result of the chill between our nations, and in particularly because the Prime Minister dared to inform Prime Minister Modi that our national security officials have told him that India is a top source of interference in our country, and wondering what it is that India might be able to do to help with that. And well, it seems that the answer is nothing.
Hmm.
So there we go. So yep, there's a chill there. Now Modi is will be going into an election this year, and I'm sure that a lot of this stuff is obviously again for domestic consumption
Mhm.
to make himself look like a strong, tough leader. So yes, we're being used as the international punching bag yet once again. I don't know why authoritarian. Well, I know why.
Because we can
of
take a
the
punch.
well, not only can we take a punch, but of the G7 nations, we're the smallest one.
Mhm. Population-wise, yes.
Yeah, and
With,
and
I
and, and
think,
the overall size of our economy and all that kind of stuff. So
well,
if
we're
they're,
not the smallest when it comes to G7, when it comes to the economy. Are we? Are we?
I
I
think
don't
so.
know. Yeah?
I think so. We might be, yeah, because I think technically, if there was a G7 today, we would not get in because we're like G12 or 13 now.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah.
thought we were doing better. Oh, anyway, whatever.
Yeah, but yeah, it's they like to pick on us because they feel that we are the nation that has the least means or the least ability to push back, and if they get us to cave, well, then that sets a great precedent for the other six. Which is one of the reasons why we need to stand firmly, because it seems that we have become the choice nation for probing first. And again, based on what we've seen over the past few years, if it was the conservatives, they'd fold every time rather than standing up. They just can't win. They just can't win. I know it's possible, but really, we do have to show up and vote, because it's not the outcome is not going to be good for us.
No.
It just isn't. All right, Kits. I believe that Mr. Grizzly, do you have anything else, or should we call it?
I have
show?
something that I'm on the fence about.
All right, well, tell me a little bit about it, and maybe I'll help you.
It's a post from Truth Social,
Okay.
from Trump's social media channel, if you will, social media thing. He posted this just a few hours ago, 9:30 p.m. last night. It's Happy New Year, I guess, because it's Rosh Hashanah, was it yesterday? Or-
Mm-hmm. I believe
I'll
so.
put this on the screen. I don't really want to read it. I'll leave it up to you whether you want to read it or not. I don't, but it's pretty bad. It's
Oh, no, yeah.
I don't want to read that myself. It's on the
No.
screen.
No, that's just dumb.
I don't want to repeat those words. So for the audio folks, I'll just cut this section out so they won't know what they're missing. I don't want to read that.
It's basically a Jew blaming thing.
Yes, yeah, and we'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where I look at it and go, "This
Well,
is real. It's real."
Well, that's the thing with these things. It's like, it's been said, it's out there. Should we report on it?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
But the thing is that there's so much out there, and a lot of it is of terrible quality, and a lot of it is just bait. People going fishing.
Oh yeah.
Put it out there,
Yeah.
we're going to get a reaction. And I don't shy away from the dark stuff. We've gone through some dark stuff, and and we've shown things that, a couple of things that, probably if it was just like hanging around with friends, would say, yeah, nobody needs to see that. Like this. And let's just put it this way: nobody's life is better for having seen it, but eyes wide open. So, but yeah, this one is, yeah.
Some things I just don't want to engage.
Well, the thing is that when we report
acknowledge it,
when we report it, we are still circulating it and disseminated. We're putting some context around it and whatnot, but it's still in These people don't need any help.
Yeah,
Got
I
Elaine
got
going. I
some.
saw that late last night and hoped that I was misreading it because I was tired. And no, my friend, you did
Yeah,
not misread it. You weren't tired
it
enough.
was legit. Yeah. I got a couple of before and after pictures for you
All right.
from that tweeted.
Oh yes,
This
please.
is this called Horseshoe Bay Beach? I think it's called, or something like that. This is the area of Nova Scotia that Rhiannon lives in, Saucy Sea Witch. That's before the storm. During the storm. So,
Okay.
where did the beach go?
Whoa.
No beach.
Just got swallowed right up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, it could have been much worse than it was. Everybody sort of caught a bit of a break on that because the surge wasn't nearly as bad. They had 9-meter swells in the ocean that thankfully did not hit, because that would have been catastrophic. 9 meters, that's like what, 30 feet. To put it into context, 9 meters is big.
Yeah.
So, yeah. It could have been much worse. Crescent Beach in Lockport, sorry. Horseshoe Bay Beach is another place, I think. Crescent Beach, but that makes sense because it's crescent shaped. So Crescent Beach in Lockport, Nova Scotia. Yeah. Welcome to living in a world of climate change, indeed, Linda. This is where we are. Let's wrap up, sir. I'm having computer issues with my work computer this morning. Things aren't going smoothly for me, and I need to fix them.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's just wrap up for today. And I have I got to check my calendar for, I think it's next week. No, I can't even log into my calendar right now. There's issues that I'm having. I have lots of issues. Yeah, there's a day this week where I have to be in the office at 7 a.m. So I'll bring a laptop in and I'll be able to run it from my control room. But yeah, that'll be the case. I think it's Thursday of this week.
Wait about?
I think it's Thursday of this week. Let me just check. Yeah, Thursday. I have to be in the office for 7 a.m. So I will. I'll run the show from there. Yeah.
All right. Sounds good. All right. Kits and Cubs, that's the end of this episode of the Daily Beaver Morning Show. We hope that you love listening to us because we love making this for you.
Oopsie, that was my bad.
Twice
Sorry,
now, man.
The last time I didn't hit the button. I just hovered over it and it did it on its own. This one I actually did click. I didn't mean to. I was trying to click something else.
Please thank you for your patience on the show that was a little more disjointed in terms of having content a little bit not packaged all together in one little chunk for
It
you.
was a little scronkly.
But yeah, a little scronkly, but yeah. But thank you for having patience and staying with us here on it. Because sharing is caring, please let your peeps and poops know about us. Tell everyone we see you retweeting. We see you saying how much you love the show. Thank you. It helps us a lot. Premature ending, indeed. Oh man. Premature elucidation. No, we love it when you're scrunkly. Thank you. Because democracy is something that you do. Make a plan to vote if you're living in Manitoba. Remember, friends don't let friends vote alone. So make sure that you're going to bring some people with you to make sure that we get rid of a conservative government. Because they're not helping down there, and they don't even want to look for a landfill for other people. I mean, they're devaluing Cubans right at this moment. So let's. It's time to change the diaper. It's soiled. Please donate to the Red Cross if you have an opportunity to. Please write your media and your MPPs, particularly if you live in Ontario, particularly if you happen to live in an electoral district that is held by an Ontario Progressive Conservative Party member. Please go to the constituency office. Please call and ask for a meeting. Keep them busy. Keep them busy. All right. All right. Let's see. What else do we have? If you would like us to come to you as soon as we have something fresh off the bandwidth, you go to our pod page sponsored by the Ray Girl. That's podpage.com. The True North Eager Beaver, lowercase letters, all with the hyphen between each one of those words, or you scan that squiggly that's by my face, and that will bring you there. And when we have something fresh off the bandwidth, we'll come straight to you. And since you are subscribing, why not go to our True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated YouTube page and make like Kit Elaine and smash those 3 buttons: like, share, and subscribe. Like, share, and subscribe. All 3. You can do it. Just go get yourself some happy. All right. And if you love what we do and would love to encourage us to do more, as a few of you have done over the course of the weekend, which I have not, I've seen them come in, but I have not been able to look at them because unfortunately, coffee won't open on my cell phone for some reason. So I know who sent something, but I don't know what or how much or if you've said anything. I will be looking at that later today. But for those of you who have, and please know I haven't forgotten you, and even those who donated last week, I will be reading your names out with your comments as soon as I can access them and copy them to actually put in the show. But I see you, and I see you donating, and I appreciate it. Thank you very much. All right, from the Beaver Lodge, this is your Eager Beavers. Oh, yes, I should say how you get there. If you would like to donate, coffee, ko-fi.com/eagerbeaver, all lowercase letters in one word, or that QR code by Mr. Grizzly's head is where you go, and you can make your contribution to our emergency hydration fund. We really appreciate it. Thank you very much. From the Beaver Lodge, this is your Eager Beaver saying, kids, it can be a tough world out there, so please be kind to and gentle with yourself. Mr. Grizzly, some words of wisdom, please.
Yeah, look into getting one of those Shakti mats if you're having back problems or anxiety or anything of that nature. I think you may notice a change once you use it a couple of times. Now they go anywhere from $40 to $140 on the Amazon. So choose your poison wisely. But I recommend giving it a shot because it's been helpful to me, and hopefully it can be helpful to you.
All right. And we have Kit Cassie here reminding us that early polls in Manitoba start September 27th. And if there are more people than Cassie from Manitoba here, but Cassie as well, please send us more updates on what's going on in the election. For some reason, CBC doesn't have a Manitoba specific podcast that I can listen to, as was the case for PI or something like that when I was following their election. So it's actually kind of hard to get news unless I'm going specifically to the Winnipeg Free Press site. But we've heard that the NDP has announced that they're restoring funding for cardiac care, which has been a plank. And meanwhile, the Progressive Conservatives have promised no tax on bedding plants. I'm sure no tax on bedding plants is maybe important for people who use them, but considering if that's a competition of ideas, restoring funding for cardiac care versus no tax on bedding plants, I'll take the cardiac care, please.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Rather than another tax cut depleting the provincial coffers of yet more money when people need cardiac care. Clearly. But that's just me. All right, Mr. Grizzly, please roll those credits.
Let me find them here. I gotta find them. They're there. I got them.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community and forum, and The Pepper Master, hot pepper sauces made from fresh farm ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. All right.
Suddenly abruptly ended, right?
Yeah, it did.
The music just
Yeah, just a little bit of good news for you kids before we go away from our athletes, as always. Team Canada, has won its second straight FIBA, that's basketball, 3-on-3
Mhm.
women's series title. So defending
Yes.
champions with a 16-15 victory over France. So the team consisting of Michelle Plouffe, Catherine Plouffe, and Paige Crozon and Casey Bosch claimed the fourth edition of the competition in Ulaanbaatar, Mongolia, of all
Wow.
places. They entered the weekend as the number one seed after winning the 5 stops already this season, and they were undefeated through the final leg, so it was domination. So great news for the women who competed there as well. Team Canada has qualified 2 boats for the Olympics in rowing from the World Championships. I think the women's eights were there, and the second one I don't remember which one it was for some reason. Um, I yeah, I seem to have just lost the page for some reason. The Canadian women's volleyball team is trying to compete for a spot at the Olympics. They're tough. They're in tough because there are 24 teams, and only 6 will be advancing. So that might be a big ask this time. And
Mhm.
there's more stuff. Mike Woods won the bronze medal in a big cycling race that was held in Quebec City over last week. Lots of stuff from Canadian athletes. So lots to cheer for.
Just a fun fact, maybe you're not aware of this,
Oh,
but Ulaanbaatar, Mongolia is the coldest national capital on Earth,
yes.
but it changes from year to year with Ottawa because sometimes we're colder. So just interesting
Yep.
fun fact for you there.
Indeed. And good luck to Team Canada that will be taking on the world at the 2023 Wrestling World Championships that have started a few days ago in Belgrade, Serbia. All right.
Cool.
There we go. Go Canada, go.
See ya.
Have a great day, kids.